Hello and welcome to the Sunday Scaries bonus edition. Our regular edition will be coming later in the afternoon/evening, but for now, because this is the usual time to start, I figured I would try out another game while we wait. So this is the beginner's guide created by the makers of... oh, hang on. Interesting. Seem to be having a little trouble with the button layout. Maybe I can't do this one with a controller. That's okay. We'll figure that out later. Anyway, the beginner's guide is the follow-up to the Stanley Parable, made by the developer and team responsible for the Stanley Parable and also Wander Stop. I've played those two games, but I have not played this one, so I'm intrigued to see what this one, as a meditation on toxic fandom and the ways in which it is unfair to creators and can cause burnout and things like that, what it has to say on that front. So let's check it out. Audio is on.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote the Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game.
This is
As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed.
Boundaries.
This first one was made in November 2008.
Because like the entire premise is like, hey, I liked this person, but they stopped making the thing that I like. I want to make them make more of the thing that I like. So I'm essentially bullying, shaming, etc. them into doing that by releasing this. Why would anyone? Oh,
Warning.
Jesus.
Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
We got trouble.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
No button to open doors. How rude. The music's good.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Huh. I like the detail of the dirt on the lens, on the glass. That's very cool.
Apparently, this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Okay. Seemed like an interesting thing going on there.
Or, if you'd really like to solve the labyrinth, you're welcome to do that too.
Haha. So now we get that Stanley Parable stuff.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the Whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the Whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Okay, so we're back in it again. You get the same spiel? No? Whoa. We've ascended to a higher plane of existence. Oh, look at that.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Looks very Ken's Labyrinth / Windows 95 screensaver.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
Huh. Oh, that's cute. The past was behind her. Well, that's the way we came.
So it's a short
But the
and
future could
relatively
not be
minimalist
seen.
experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Code is trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply
Why does the
basing
future
it on a
keep changing?
pre-existing trope.
This wasn't all like that before, right? When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Alright. So we're on a short stretch of road in what sounds like the dark. Due to the crickets and such. You are now entering.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be
Uh-huh.
clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
Nonsense in nearly every direction.
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
It's clear you don't agree with that at all.
I know it's tempting, but there's actually nothing over here. Sorry.
You're not the boss of me. Noises were getting louder. Don't know why.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
You know, at this point, you're making a new game on top of his. It ceases to be his art and becomes your art. Sort of.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
I like sharks are trying to eat you and simultaneously you were trying to eat the sharks. If that ain't life.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that.
And then everyone on the
It can
bus
be
clapped.
a very slow climb to get there.
Okay, but the one where to go. A game where you collect items except the game automatically quits when you collect them all is devious and I love it. Aw. Ready, set, fish. We're gonna go fishing here?
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
I'm not sure what there is to solve.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
Let's see what else we got here.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve the puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. All right, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Why? Whoa. Looks cool.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Interesting question. Back on that long and lonesome road. Or short and lonesome road, as the case may be. You are now exiting.
Aha! So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
Seems compelling. The Great and Lovely Descent.
let's talk about video game development for a second.
Sure, let's.
Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Nuts, don't let me through. Jerks. Oh! Dang it. I fell through the cracks. Well, now where did I end up? I think creaked open for me on one of the paths. I must go to that path last. Because I know what's coming for me. Actually, I don't, but still. Is it good this way? Uh-oh. More traps? Oh. Oh, we're still trapped, but now we're moving.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that. This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
That's questionable, friend. I don't know that you needed to do that necessarily. That's the way I came in. Okay, hang on.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
If you say so. Door's not closing. What's going on? Okay, I have to hit close. Alright.
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Okay, I am starting to gray out, and I think I need a little nappy nap before I continue with 1000 Times Resist later. So I at least started this up, and we can try more of it later. But for now, I am going to stop for the moment, and we'll come back at 6:30. Right. Until then.